Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Ike, and I'm reaching out to you from Johannesburg, and I have my colleagues, Musa. Musa is going to be supporting me in today's webinar. Musa is also here in Johannesburg. Colleagues, thank you so much for joining us today. I also have my colleague Yankee. Yankee is joining us all the way from Kimberley, Northern Cape. You're welcome, colleagues. I want to say a big thank you for the colleagues that are the attendees that are taking our time to join us today. Last week we had the same topic of the same session, but we focused on the school level. Today we are taking it to the next level where we'll be focusing on the curriculum piece. And what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about learner and subject performance analysis. So let's move on straight and talk about this. The next slide we're going to be talking about is just the formalities, how the webinar is going to be run. And I know that a whole lot of you that are actually used to the webinar, you are actually attendees from the other webinars that we've had, you are aware of this. So please take out time to familiarize yourself. If you're new, I'm just going to read this out so you are actually also familiarizing yourself with how the webinar is going to be run. So if you lose signal and leave the Zoom session, please do not worry. You can click the link and rejoin the session as soon as your connection is restored. However, if your connection is not restored before the end of the webinar, colleagues, please don't be dismayed. All webinars are recorded, and within approximately 24 hours, the presentation and all with the 24 hours after the presentation, all attendees that have registered would receive the pack, which is the attendance register, the link to the recording that we're just having now, and the presentation slide. Remember, even if you do not have time to join this webinar because of conflicting priorities or because of other meetings that you have, the pack is going to be sent to you. That's why when you're registering, we required your email. So we are going to be sending all this to your email. Also, if you have any questions, colleague, please use the Q&A button, which will be used to answer the questions. So don't use the chat. Where below your screen, you will see the Q&A and you'll see the chat. Please use the Q&A for your questions so we can monitor the questions that have been answered and those that are outstanding. Also, if answers on the Q&A chat are not clear, you have an option to raise your hand during the Q&A period or at the end of the session. We have a designated time for Q&A, and that's why after the whole the presentation is done, then we'll have the Q&A. So you can please raise your hand and my colleagues will be well and available to assist and give you the access to ask your questions. All attendees are on mute during this session, but if error occurs or if you find out that you logged on and you are mistakenly not on mute, kindly mute yourself to help us and also to avoid disturbances during the webinar. Colleagues, we also value your feedback, so please take out time to answer the poll questions during or when the poll has been launched. This will actually help us. We need the feedback because we also look into the feedback to plan our subsequent webinars. Last but not the least, colleagues, please note that the DDD webinars are recorded and published on our DDD Dashboard YouTube channel. This allows other education officials to access the recording in their own time and benefit from the content provided. Now, should you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact our DDD help desk. We'll be giving you the email and the phone number at the end of before the end of the session. Okay, now let's move straight along to say what are the 3 learning objectives that we are actually going to get here. Now it's how to understand, to analyze learner subject performance, investigate the number of learners failing a particular subject, and gain insight into the data available on the DDD dashboard Excel downloadable report and how to interpret this. Now remember, as curriculum officials, you would be able to know how to support the schools, okay, based on the educator that is teaching that subject, and also how to assist those learners, and also those subjects, like maybe a subject advisor for a particular subject. You would know how that subject is performing, and you would know what is actually expected when you talk about supporting the educators. So this session is going to assist you on how to track the data that would inform the support, or that would inform that intervention you are going to have when you visit the school, and also how to support the educator. It will also inform your visits. So maybe you, as a curriculum or a subject advisor, is trying to visit a particular school and you don't know the school to start first. You know, you can use the RAG, the red, amber, green strategy or structure to know which school to visit first, based on the performance, based on the analysis that you are going to do right now, to base your first, second, third, or fourth schools as the hierarchy is going to allow you. Okay, now moving right along, colleagues, we are actually going to go straight to the profiling. But remember, this is curriculum focus. So we are saying, what reports do we need? There are other reports, colleagues, so don't mind that we're actually showing you two reports. There are actually other reports on the DDD dashboard that you can use. But the two reports that we're going to be engaging in the course of today's webinar is the School Achievement Report and the Leonard Chart report. These reports are actually fully loaded with information which talks about learner performance and also subject performance. It also gives you the number of subject fails. It gives you the percentage of pass. It gives you the average percentage. So when you talk about quality, the number of learners or the number of subjects that are being passed against the quality. Now, those numbers of pass that you get, what is the quality of that pass? So you can be able to differentiate and be able to say, what am I tracking? Am I tracking the numbers of passes, or am I tracking the quality of those numbers of passes? Okay, moving right along, the profiling can also be done at all this level, from the provincial level down to the learner level. But remember, for the course of today's webinar, we'll be sticking to provincial level, circuit level, and district level. So this is what we'll actually be sticking to now, 3 of them, okay? Because we are talking to the curriculum officials which sit either at the provincial level or at the district level. So how can we support the different circuits? Okay, because the different circuits represent the number of the schools that we have, okay? And now the reports that we are actually going to be using, it's not actually a school-specific report. We'll be using a district level. So we'll be downloading these 2 reports at a district level, okay? That's how we are actually going to be engaging this session. Now, the first thing we are going to be looking at is highlighting the location of the DDD dashboard report. I want to assume that we all know where these reports are. But even if we don't know, we are actually going to be looking at that. So we are talking about the School Achievement Report, and we are talking about the Leonard Chart report. Now, the question is, how do we get these reports? Okay, on the dashboard, where is this report located? Now, let's find that out. Now, based on this, immediately remember you are familiar with this page. When you log onto the DDD dashboard, you'll be on the summary part, okay? By default, it takes you to the summary part. Now, once you're in the summary part, immediately you click on reports. Now, once you click on this tab, this is what you would see, okay? Now, under learner achievements, you see the first report, which is the School Achievement Report, okay? That's the first report. Remember, we are engaging with 2 reports, the School Achievement Report and the Leonard Chart. Now, on the School Achievement Report, can we see it can be worked from the province to the learner, so province to school, okay? And then it gives you the grades from what to what. All right, and then you can now show the achievement either by report mark or exam test. Okay, That is how then you click on apply. So you choose any parameters that you need here to engage the relevancy of the data or the information you want. Okay, now let's move forward to the next report. The next report is the Leonard Chart report. Now, this report is also very useful and it has a whole lot of information on how the learner is performing based on the different subjects. Also, how the subjects are also performing. So if I'm a subject advisor, this is a very important report that I should be engaging because it gives me a holistic view on how the subject is performing. But as I said, you can drill down to the subject particularly that you support in your respective school. Okay? Now, how do we engage this report? Can we see that it gives you the grade? So you can choose which of the grades that you want to work with. As I said, the achievement, either report mark or exam test, it gives you the achievement as marks or levels. It depends on what you're engaging with. And you want the promotion status, it also gives you the promotion status. So you can track and you can try to say, is there any trend? When I'm looking at this, am I finding any trend from the previous term, or am I saying this learner was progressed or not promoted or promoted from last term? So it gives you a very robust way of, analyzing this information. Okay. Now, moving right along, colleagues, the next thing we are going to be looking at is that we are going to be looking at these reports individually. So it says here to illustrate the information available in each report, which is the school achievement and the Leonard Chart report. So we are going to be looking at these reports individually, okay? Then we are going to be looking at filtering. How do we actually, because, maybe I'm a subject advisor for maybe English file. I wouldn't need the other the other subject information. So how am I, as a subject advisor for English file, be able to drill down directly to English file and get the informations that are relevant to the subject that I support? We're actually going to be talking about that. Okay. Now, moving along, let's look at the information available in these two reports that we are going to be engaging with. First of all, we are going to be looking at the school achievement report. What are the information available there? So when you go through the process of downloading this report, as we said, remember, this report can be downloaded from the provincial level down to the school level. Okay, the same thing with Leonard Chart. It can also be downloaded also. Now, when you download the school achievement report, this is what it looks like. So remember, because of the POPI Act and everything, we have modified the information here, so it doesn't represent the physical or the protection of personal information that we have there. It doesn't show the information of the school or the individual. Okay. Now, based on this, can we see the subject? Okay. Now, this is the subject. You can also look at the faces. So it depends on what information you are interested in. Now, we used grade 12. So I've got the last time we had this session with the school, they were asking why is it that it's only grade 12 that this analysis can be done for. So let me just say that we used grade 12 as a reference. So you cannot, it's not just for grade 12, it can be done for every grade. Now remember, as curriculum officials, you would not be, because this is a school level, you will be having a district level where you will be looking at the schools. So based on school A, school B, you'll be looking at the numbers of learners in those schools for this subject. So instead of looking at an individual grade, you'll be looking at the school name. When we go to the practical session, the live demo, I'm going to show you, we are just going to pick two reports from a district level, and I'm going to show you exactly what we have done here. Okay. Now, looking at this, can we see the number of learners enrolled? Number of learners that wrote, and number of learners that passed. These are the information you get at the school achievement report. And can we see the levels? Now, this report was downloaded, okay, as in a level form. So we want the achievement to give us based on the level. Now, based on this level, we know that level 1 which is red, means that learners are failing. And we know the red, amber, green, the RAG representation of this report. So red means the learners are failing. Amber, which is the level 2, means these learners are passing, but they are very close to failing. Okay, and we have the green, which means the learners are actually doing well. Do we understand? So these are the different color, which is red, amber, green, which is for short we used to say it's the RAG representation. Okay, so based on this, you want to look at your red schools, you can just filter and look at the red schools based on the subject. Remember, you want to look at the green schools, you can filter and look at how many schools are actually doing well in XYZ subject. You want to look at the amber schools, you can also look at that based on the levels of learners that are schools that are doing well based on the subject. Remember, this will also inform your school visits as a curriculum official. Okay, not only informing your school visit, it will also give you a rough assessment of what is happening in the school and how you can plan your conversation when you get to the school. So data is very important, and data informs a whole lot of things that we do. So whatsoever discussion you are going to have, it will be based on the data that you have analyzed prior to your visit to that school. If you want to have interventions, it will be based on the data. So whatsoever you want to do that is going to be constructive and you're going to get results based on that information, the data has to be accurate. Now, let me go take maybe 10 steps back and say that, remember, the data we are engaging with is the final process of the capturing level that has been done at the school level. Remember, the first thing is this data needs to be captured accurately on SSAMs, right? We need to make sure that the data has been captured accurately. So as curriculum officials, you might say, you know, that is the business of the school, so they are supposed to know. But, you know, if we all lend our voice in talking about accurate data capturing, it will go a long way, because when everyone starts speaking the same language, the school officials will see the seriousness in having accurate data. And remember, when the data is accurate, it's going to help your job as curriculum officials, make it very easy, because the data you are basing that discussion on, or you are basing that intervention on, is based on the data that is accurate. So I hope we would start having those conversations when we visit the school. Okay? Moving right along, colleagues, we are also still looking at the school achievement report. Now, remember we looked at this side, okay? Now, can we see where the mark goes here? That is the flip side. Now, let me explain what is here. Now, based on the information that we are looking at, we have looked at the learners enrolled, we looked at those pass. Now, let's look at the number of pass, okay? Can we see here, we have 18 enrolled, 18 vote, and 18 pass in accounting, okay? Now, based on the average percentage, so this is the quality. This is the quantity, sorry. This is the quantity which speaks about numbers, speaks about volume, okay? Quantity is volume, quantity speaks of number. Now, quality means if you say you have 20, okay, as the quantity, what is the quality of the 20 that you have? Okay, it's like having a crate of egg. I can't remember how many eggs are in the crate. I think it's 10. I don't know. Well, I'm just giving you that illustration. So you have a crate of egg. Remember, in that crate of egg, due to the movement of the crate, you might have some cracks in those eggs. Now you bought crate of egg. Okay, now the next thing you're going to talk about is based on that, the number of the eggs in that crate. Can we see how many of those eggs are cracked? Okay, that talks about the quality of the eggs. Now we know that this is an egg and it's complete in that crate. That speaks to the quantity. Now, when we talk about the quality, we want to know, are those eggs, are everything fresh? When I talk fresh, are they spilled? Is there any crack? Are they okay? Now we are talking about the quality. Okay, now based on this number of pass here, let's look at the average percentage based on all of this and based on these numbers. And now look at 191. They are actually passing. Okay, now look at the average percentage, which is the quality. It sits at 47.28. Look at this one, which is economics. 39 enrolled, 39 wrote, 29 passed. So 10 actually failed. Now, out of the 29 that passed, the pass quality is 36% points. Can we see? So that is quantity and quality. The school curriculum officials, you would have an agreement with them to know what are we actually tracking. Some schools will say we want to track both quality and quantity. Some schools will say, no, we have a whole lot of learners that are failing. We want to build their strengths. We want to build our quantity then before we go to quality. As I said, I would not be in a position to advise how you can go about this because you are the expert. That's why you have those positions. That's why you've been doing this for a number of years. My job is just to bring the data closer to you to aid those analysis or to aid those interventions that you're actually going to make. And my job is to show you how you can play around with the data, but the decision still lies with you. Okay? Now, moving right along, remember, I said this is where we are actually going to be paying attention because we have looked at this. Now we are looking at the average percentage. Now, based on this, we are actually now looking at the Leonard Chart. We've gone to the Leonard Chart now. Okay, remember the school achievement report talks about the quantity and the quality. Now, as a curriculum official, you want to look at how is my subject faring in the school? How are my subject faring? Are learners passing the subject? Are they failing? How many of these subjects are actually failed in the school? Okay, you will have this information in the comfort of your office before you even take that drive out of the district office. Okay, now we can see that it also gives us the FET pass quality. That's for grade 12. Okay, it gives us the promotion status. Remember, one of the parameters that you can use to check is the promotion status. So it gives you the previous term promotion. You know those that are progressed, those that passed, those that are not promoted, and all that. Because all this information, you need this information to actually guide you in your analysis. Okay? Moving right along, colleagues, we are still continuing with the Leonard chart. Now, can we look at this? Can we see on the Leonard chart that it speaks entirely about the subject? Can we see the different subject and can we see the different color codes? So as our curriculum officials, you will be very happy to use this information and analyze how your subject is actually faring. Okay. Now moving right along to this. Can we look at, now we have looked at the school achievement report, we have looked at the Leonard chart. We have looked at the different information that can be gotten from both of them. Now, sitting down, you would now say, what is the next thing to do? As a subject advisor, I need just my subject because I know a whole lot of people will say there's a whole lot of information here. How do I go to the information that is relevant to me? The information that I need to use because I actually support a subject, so I don't need the information of the rest subject. That is where we are actually going to now. Okay. Now, the next thing we are actually going to do now is how do we filter those information? And we're not just doing just maybe the school achievement. We are actually doing both. Okay, so we will start from the school achievement and we will go to the Leonard chart. Now, how do we filter this? The first thing you need to do when you filter is the report is there, it's ready to be used. Okay, you have just got the report. Remember, there is a yellow line, enable editing. You must enable editing first. for you to be able to play with the data. Now, the next thing you need to do is, this is the report that you're actually dealing with. The first step is you highlight everything from end to end. From end to end, make sure it is highlighted. When I go to the live demonstration, I'm actually going to show you also that. Make sure it is highlighted end to end. That means you want to use all the tabs that are here, because if it's not highlighted end to end, you would not be able to filter correctly. Okay, that's the first step. The next step is you now go on, click on data. That is the next step. You've highlighted here, you click on data. Now, when you click on data, it says that you want to work with the columns, okay? But you have not highlighted which columns you want to work with. Now, the next thing you do is you click filter. Now, immediately you click filter. Now you are saying you want to work with the columns. Now the drop-down arrows are all highlighted. Immediately you click filter, they are all highlighted. Now this is saying that I want to work with every of the columns that I'm seeing here. Okay, that is the next step. Now, after you have done that, then you can now start your filtering. Okay, you can now start your filtering. Now, how do you do the filtering? You first of all highlight a column. In all of this column, you say, am I working with the subject? Am I working with the learner pass? What am I working with? Which of these columns am I working with? Okay, now we are saying we are working with this one, level 1. We want to know how many learners are having level 1. Okay, now based on this, you click on that, immediately this comes up, and now there are different things to work in here, and I'm just going to speak to them one after the other. The first one here, can we see that all the numbers here are highlighted? It's saying everything here is highlighted. Now what you need to do is you click on select all to deselect all these things, and you say, I want to know which of the numbers of the learners are on level 1. How many of them? So you click on any of them here based on the subject. Remember, the first thing why we clicked here is just an example, but as curriculum officials, you need to start with your subject. That's the first thing you start with. So instead of coming here, you're going to start it, and I'm going to show you in the example. Based on your subject, that's going to inform you based on here. Okay, you start with your subject and it's going to inform you what levels are there. Now, another thing also you can do is you don't want all of this. You want to see the highest and the lowest. You can sort that here. Sort smallest to largest, sort largest to smallest. Okay, you can also do that here, and that is what it's going to be showing you now. Okay, and the same arrow here, that's exactly what it's showing you. Okay, you can sort from lowest to highest and sort from highest to lowest, and the same thing, you can filter from lowest to highest. It's just the same process but different names. So filter or sort from lowest to highest and highest to lowest. Okay, and that's exactly what it's showing us here. This is the down arrow, which talks about largest to smallest. When the arrow goes up, it talks about smallest to highest. Okay, now based on this, can we now see that this chart is telling us now we can also get the numbers of subjects that are filled. So based on the learner chart, as curriculum officials, we want to see, based on the subject in a district, how many of the subjects are being filled. We want to know, and that is what we can see here. You see this column is going to give you that information, number of subject filled. Now you want to know both. Remember, this is still a high level analysis. It comes down to the granular levels. We are still working on a high level analysis. Okay, now once you've gotten this information, you can now drill down to say, now we've got 3 subjects. Now you look at the subject, you look at the number of learners filling it, you look at the names of those learners, you now make a trend analysis to say, previously, how have these learners been faring? Okay, look at the promotion status, look at what the previous performances based on the subject to see if there is any trend. Okay, look at other subjects that they are actually offering or they are actually doing, and look at the performance before you now come up with your intervention. So you see the process. This is still a very high level that we are actually talking about. Okay, this gives us the first data that we are actually going to take us to the granular level. Okay, now we're talking about number of subject field, which we've just shown us there. Now, this is an analysis that was done in one of the provinces. I'm not going to say, give you the name of the province because of the puppy. So what they did here, it's very straightforward. So what they did here was they had the number of subject field and they worked with different circuits. Okay, and they looked at the number of subject field, which is indicated by number of learners who failed the subject, and they totaled it up. Can we see different numbers? And they totaled it up. These are people having different levels. These are the levels. Okay, can we see the numbers of those in not at all? Can we see the numbers of those in one? Can we see how high it is from here to here? Now look at level 5, 6, 7. Look at the very little numbers. Now these are numbers of subjects that actually failed. Okay, now this was something that was done still on a high level. Remember, all these analyses are being done at a high level. Now the flip side of this is we want to pick a subject and we want to say, how is that subject faring? Okay, now subject performance. Okay, now based on this, before we go to the subject, we are saying on the report, maybe a school achievement report, these are what you can get from the report. Number of learners that wrote, number of learners that passed, number of learners failed. Remember, the reference is the national policy pertaining to the program and promotion requirement of National Curriculum Statement grade R to grade 12. Okay, you can also get the pass percentage, you can also get percentage above 50, and you can also get the percentage average. These are the informations you can get when you are actually working on subject performance as curriculum advisors. Okay, now remember there is a policy that talks about promotion per phase. Now remember this policy. I'm sure that we all know what this policy says. What this policy is saying is just giving us the achievement levels. Okay, it's giving us the achievement level. Now we know that level 1 is failure in all the phases. Level 1 is failure in all phases, and that is what is highlighted here. Okay, can we see level 1 is failure? That's what we have actually. It's just to remind us that what the policies say, are we in line with what the policy says? Failure in all phases is level 1. Okay, now based on what we are saying, we are now saying based on this, we are picking up one subject. This is the circuit. We did not put the name of the circuit. This was also done in one of the provinces. Also, this is an analysis that was done, a high analysis that was done in one of the provinces. And the source is also the DDD dashboard. Okay, now we changed the name of the circuit and we represented them with numbers, but the subject is correct. It was accounting that we said, let's do an analysis on accounting and see the performance in accounting for term 1 2020. This is actually based on grade 12 subject performance per circuit. Okay, now numbers of learners that wrote, numbers of learners that pass, number of learners that fail, and that's you minus 13 from 21, you get this. Minus 59 from 93, you get this. Okay, now based on this, remember, pass percentage is giving us the percentage of learners that pass. Now, when we look at this, now look at the numbers of learners that pass. Okay, look at this and look at this. Now, we have circuit 7, 103 passed. Out of the 103 that passed, look at the pass quality. So this is the quantity, which is talking about the volume, the number, and this is the quality. Remember the analysis, the illustration of the crate of eggs that I actually said. So out of the 103 that passed, this is the percentage. Now look at circuit 9, right? Accounting, 29 learners wrote, 25 passed, 4 failed. Okay, out of the 25 that passed, this is their pass quality, 37 points. Okay, now based on this information, it gives you a high level immediately on what you need to put down, and it tells you immediately where you need to focus your energy on. Okay, right, moving right along, colleagues, we are actually now getting to the end of the slides, but permit me, before we go to Q&A, let me stop sharing and call up one of the slides and one of the reports, and just show us how this can be done. Now, straightforward, we are going to one of the reports. We'll start with the school achievement report. Okay, and based on this report, if you see, I took the province, I took most of the information out. I left the relevant information that we are actually going to work with because of the POPI Act. Remember what we said. This information gives us the description, which is very important, which is the subject. Okay, remember this is downloaded at a district level, not at a school level. Can we see the numbers are so high? Can we see the numbers are so high here? So it's at a district level, not at a school level. Now, let's go back. The first thing we talked about here, how do we filter? So as a subject advisor, you have this report opened at a district level, and you want to actually work on this report to give you information based on your subject and know how the subject is faring when it comes to quantity and quality. Quantity means how many learners are passing or doing well or failing, as the case may be, the subject, and how many are actually not doing well. So as I said, the first thing that you need to do is click here. Now we need to make sure it is covered till the end. Can we see it is? So we go back. Remember, what is the next thing? I wish I can hear you all say, click on data. Now, that is the next thing. And then what is the next thing we need to say? I can hear you all saying, click on filter. Good. Now, can we see when we clicked on filter, can we see what happened here? Let me unclick. Can we see it is out? Once we click on filter, the drop-down arrows come down. And what the drop-down arrow is saying, you are now able to analyze based on all these rows. All these columns, sorry. Can we see all of them? Now, remember, the first thing we are actually going to look at is, we might say, let's look at one of the subjects. Now, we click here. And when we click here, remember I said it has selected everything by default, but we click deselect. And let's look at one of the subjects. And let's look at economics, okay? Let's say economics. And we click here. Can we see it took us to economics because economics is being done in FET? Can we see? Now, this is the total number of learners that are enrolled. Remember, this is not a school, this is a district level. The total number in grade 12, this is grade 12. Remember, grade 12, and this is based on the information that is available from the report that I actually downloaded on the DDD dashboard. Now, this is the number of learners that wrote. You see, the same thing. There's no discrepancies here. There's no variance here. Okay. Now, 259 passed. Okay. Can we see that 259 passed? So when you minus this from 358, you get those learners that failed. Okay. Now, based on that, this is the distribution. This is the distribution. Can we see it has red, amber, and green? And let's look at how many learners are actually, can we see here? Now, this is the pass percentage. Now, what we are looking at here is for grade 12, okay? We can change this. As I said, it's the subject that determines what we want to see. Now, based on 259 that passed, what is the average pass? Now we are talking about the quality. This is the quantity, and that is the quality. Can we see? 40 points. Now, what we are saying here is, what is the school tracking? As a subject advisor, what should the school be tracking? Is it a conversation you want to have with them, or do you want to align your intervention based on what the school is tracking? But this is a conversation. So when you speak to them about this and say, yes, we have 259 that are actually passing, but the quality of the pass is what we have here. Okay? Now, based on what we have said, again, we are actually going to look at another example. All we need to do is we need to clear the filter, and we need to look at another example. Now, remember, what I also said is that we need to also highlight the same process, data, and then filter. Now, based on this, we can also filter based on faces, okay? You can filter based on subjects. You can also filter based on the levels, okay? Now, based on this, when we look at this information, can we see that you can filter anything that you have here? Now, when we look at level 4, okay? When we look at level 4, can we see level 4? I'm just picking just a level. Now, based on level 4, we want to know how many learners in a particular subject has red, or have amber, or have green. Can we see that this is only showing us 2 colors? It's showing us an amber and a green. That means in that particular subject, no learner has a red. Learners are on amber, which is they are passing but close to failing, or they are on green. Now, based on this, we can filter. We want to see just the ambers. Can we see? It's showing us just the ambers. Can we? Now, we click here again, and we say, based on the colors, we want to see just the greens. Can we see? It has taken that off and it's giving us the greens. Okay, you go to the last, that is what you have here. Now, based on this, we can also say, no, we want to sort from smallest to largest. Can you see? It has given us the sort from smallest to largest. We can also say again, we want to sort from largest to smallest. Can we see? Exactly the same thing. I hope this is simple as possible for everyone. Please, if you feel maybe I am too fast or maybe you are not getting it, you can please watch the video, okay? And then you'll be able to. That's why I'm taking my time to explain everything individually so we actually understand. And remember, colleagues, you cannot get a hand of this if you don't practice. So practice makes perfect. Okay, now can I stop sharing this and call on the other report? Remember, we engage with 2 reports. We've looked at the learner, the school achievement report. Now we are looking at the learner chart. Now the learner chart, I'm going to click on the learner chart. Okay, now based on the learner chart, I'm actually going to work based on the learner chart. Now, based on the learner chart, the same thing we are actually looking at. Remember, the learner chart, now we have the quintiles. That is one of the new things, the new features on the dashboard. Remember, it's giving us the learner name. This is also done at a district level. Okay, now we see that most of this here are actually not highlighted because there is no information there. Okay, so based on what we are having here, can we see? Can we just analyze? Now, based on this, The same thing that we need to do is here. Make sure that it is highlighted from end to end. Okay, end to end. Now, the next thing, data. And then filter. Now, based on this, can we see, let's say, Sepedi home language. And remember, colleagues, I just remembered now that even while we are analyzing, let's make sure that those learners are not failing those home language that they would fail, that would actually make them not be able to go to the next level. Okay, so let's look at Sepedi home language and see. Now, let's look at the color. Okay, can we see we have amber, green, and red here? Now, let's say we are looking at the reds. Can we see? Can we look at it? Can we see? We are saying, let's look at the green. You see the number of learners? Can we look at them? Can we see? Now, based on this also, let's say, let's take the filter off and let's go back to filtering again and say, look at those learners that, I mean, the number of subjects. Let's look at those subjects that have a failing 3. Can we look at them? And can we see the very important analysis here? Can we look at the promotion stats? Can we see that majority of them are not promoted previously? Can we see? And the subjects are even actually in red. So as I said, we are not confined to one way of analysis. You can analyze based on, these are information, so you can analyze based on what data is relevant to you. Okay, what data is relevant to you. I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to go back to the slides that we are actually engaging with. I'm going to go with the slides that we're actually engaging with. And I think this is where we are. We are actually in the Q&A. So colleagues, I'm going to stop here. I can see that there are some questions and I hope that my colleagues have been able to answer that, but I'm going to stop here and ask Musa, Yankee, is there any questions, comments, contribution from the attendees?
Thank you so much, IK, and a good afternoon to our esteemed guest today. IK, there was a question regarding whether or not the webinar, if our colleagues can use the webinar, how do they report? In fact, maybe Yankee is the best person to answer this question. If I can just open it because I was actually cut off and I was watching on my Zoom. Let me just find that question so I can read it for us. But the question is basically asking how are they going to be credited for attending this session? How are our colleagues in the school level going to be accredited for attending this this webinar? Is there any credits for attending this webinar that we are aware of?
All right, is Yankee there to answer the question? So you said, okay, go ahead, Yankee.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks, Musa. But I do not have a clear answer on that, so I would rather not give an answer that is not going to be accurate to our users yet.
No, thank you, Yankee. I only put you on the spot because the user is from the Northern Cape. Any response from the other gentlemen in this regard?
I think from my side, I would not also be able to give a response. Jerry, perhaps do you have anything?
I would like to also, pack this one. But to my knowledge, it hasn't been accredited as yet for your size. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Musa, before I come to you, I see a question asking about the white column and all that. Let me just put out that there is no information in the white column. The columns that have information is the red, amber, and green, which the red, as I said, is the numbers of learners that are failing. The amber are the numbers of learners that are actually passing but close to failing. And the green are the numbers of learners that are actually passing. And remember, the intervention, the support should be allocated to these three, because most people actually tend to support those learners that are in red and that are on amber, disregarding or forgetting about those in green. Remember, those in green needs to be supported, because if they are not constantly or continuously supported, they can easily slip away from green and go to amber, or also go to red. So we need to be able to support all three levels of the red, amber, and green. Thanks so much. Musa, over to you.
Thanks for that response, IK. I do have two other questions, and before I read them, I do want to remind us, colleagues, if you could please fill in the poll that I launched at some point during the webinar. That will allow us to improve topics that we cover in future webinars. That being said, we have a question here from Winnie Monachotla, and what she asks is, I thought that the learner chart is for supporting learners who are at risk and subjects that learners are not performing well in, so to inform our intervention strategies. How do we respond to her?
All right, Jerry, can you please respond to that?
All right. Sorry for coming in late. So basically, yeah, that's the idea, that then you can monitor and see which learners are, especially if your curriculum, see those learners that are actually not doing very well with your subject. So again, you do have those options to filter by color, or you can use the numbers filter. I'm not sure if it was covered here. So based on the subject that you teach, you would know that, for example, if you're teaching mathematics, you have your own targets. So your mathematics target will not be the same, let's say, for example, life orientation, because the planning will be different, where you know that with certain subjects, or even what your targets are, you want to take your learners from one level to another. So even when you're looking at that, you can see all those learners that are maybe below your target, or that could actually potentially not make it at the end of the year. So using that report, you can look at those learners and group them and come up with your own interventions based on what you want to achieve end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And just to add on what Jerry says, so you can actually use them. So remember what I said, the report is not just for the interventions and learners that are at risk and all that. You can also use this report to track those learners that are actually doing well and making sure that they constantly stay on that green and not slip downwards. So based on that, we need to actually use this both for learners at risk, both in interventions for those subjects and learners that are not doing well, and also for those to form to use as a form of monitoring tool to monitor those learners that are actually doing well. And those that are on amber, the reasoning is to be able to move them right to the green. So how do we push those on amber to green? We also use the report. Thank you so much, Musa. Is there any other question?
I like this next question because it's actually responding to next week's webinar. It's from an anonymous attendee, and they're saying, I think that the webinar must be shared with all the SMT members in all schools so that they can do analysis before they actually visited by districts. I like this question because we're also going to be covering next week how the district can also use this analysis. But what is your response to that, IK?
So what I'll have to say, and any of my colleagues can please jump in if you feel I have not covered everything. So what I would like to say here is that we have done subsequent webinars on how SMTs can actually use the reports to actually, the SMT, and also those at the district level can use the report to analyze performance first, and it will inform their visit. I want to believe that SMTs are actually the educators, the principals, and all that in a particular school to inform how the subject is actually faring. You can also refer to our DDD YouTube channel and also look at the videos there. I'm sure you definitely see a video that speaks to this. But what I've just alluded in the course of this webinar is that this information can be used at a school level. It can be also used at a district level. So it informs both those in school, which talks about the principal, the educators, the HOD. It also informs those at the district level, which talks about the curriculum and other units that feels that this information is useful to them. Why I'm saying the curriculum is that they actually support the schools, they support the educators, and they support the subject. So this information will definitely information will definitely inform their visit and actually make them structure the visit on every day they actually visit the school. Thank you.
Thanks, Ike. I'm going to move along to another question here that Yankee has actually answered very brilliantly. Also from an anonymous attendee who says, how can the school upload to the dashboard? Meaning, I want to know the link between SA SAMs. And Yankee's response here, he said the school submits to the DDD dashboard through the Valley Structure tool. Schools must be having this tool in all the province except the fee state. The reason I read that question is because there's another question similar to that from Omkansi. When can schools upload to dashboard? Are they uploading to dashboard or SA SAMs? So I feel that that question has been covered by Yankee. The data is captured on SA SAMs, but using a tool called Valley Structure, it lands up on our dashboard. Any additions you'd like to make at this point, Ike?
No, I think that is actually answered correctly. There's nothing to add at this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And there is another question from Kobas Wesaki that echoes the same sentiment, and I believe he's answered as well. And I finally found that question from Winnie Monokhotla about whether or not the NSLA report meets Term 3 performance. Let me just read her question straight away. It says the NSL report needs Term 3 performance, i.e. number of learners in grade and pass rates, progress learners, return learners, and strategies used to support all learners. Yes, we can use DDD DDD answer to question 1. It sounds like she's reiterating the usefulness of the dashboard that she's found with these reports. Last 2 questions from CME CBC. He says, note that the new patch has been released and it will bring more clarity on some questions asked. Thank you, CBC, for that one. And then the final question from Pom Ganzi. As a facilitator, how can I make sure that all schools understand this program? In short, I mean capacitating them fully. Who is training the schools? I assume she is asking about the use of the dashboard. Is that correct, Ike?
Yes. So it's I want to believe that it says, how can I make sure that all schools understand? Okay, the question is out. I don't know if you can read it out, but all that is, I wanted to read the question out and answer it. Well, okay, I can see the question here now, saying, as a facilitator, how can I make sure that all schools understand this program, which is talking about the dashboard? In short, I mean capacitating them fully. So, Mpo, I know that it's always a struggle to make sure that people actually understand how to use the dashboard and you have to use the information. And that's why I'm actually putting this information out there to see the emails of the provincial project managers, the help desk email, and also the phone number. So if you have like a group of people, or no matter the number, and you require someone, you can only start from a foundation based training, where they know what the components are, what the informations are, because the informations of the dashboard need to make sense to them. It need to have a meaning to them for them to be able to utilize or use the dashboard. So we can assist you on that. You can either inform your PMs, the provincial PM with the email. You can also contact the help desk through email or through phone, and let them know your plans, and then we'll be happy to support. And I want to, I'm very happy to know that Mr. Sibisi is actually here. Mr. Sibisi was our subject matter expert for last week, and I'm happy that he is here also contributing from the attendees point of view to the session that we are having here. Thank you so much, Mr. Sibisi. Musa, over to you, please.
Yes, quite a pleasure to see Mr. CBC here with us again. A question from Audrey Bikes. She says, follow up. My question was understood incorrectly. I want to know that on the National Strategy for Learner Attainment, that is the NSLA, report per subject, as curriculum officials, where do I report these webinars attended? This is from Audrey. Well, Audrey, thank you for that clarification, but our answer doesn't change. And I think what we should be saying is that these webinars began because we wanted to be useful during COVID-19 by continuing to expand knowledge of the dashboard. That's what inspired this. We haven't yet explored any reporting structures, and we should, and we appreciate that question. And I don't know if IK, you'd like to add to that.
I think you've said it correctly. It's just the webinar is just to support the school, support the curriculum, support the district officials, support the provinces that see it fit to tune in. And as I said, we want to hear from them what they need us to do, the topics we need to visit. So we don't just choose the topic out of maybe we just decide. We are actually always, our ears are to the grounds, our ears are to the schools, our ears are to the provinces based on what they are actually challenged to it. What is there no clarity to some things? Then we bring that into the webinar and we try our possible best to have clarity. We also normally used to have subject matter experts that come to help us, and I'm sure that in the next one we'll definitely have. It's just that a whole lot of them are busy, and also schools are closed at the moment and all that. But when it talks about the attendance and all that, I think Musa actually answered that. I'm not going to say something or anything contrary to what he has just said. Thank you so much.
Thank you, IK. Final question. This is from Paul Gansi, and he's like, they are saying suggestion, I need baby steps training in order to help my school. I do want to point Paul to our YouTube channel. If you could simply go to YouTube and type in DDD, you'll find a host of videos and webinars where we cover multiple topics on the webinar that we have covered in previous webinars. I think that would be a good place to start. Other than that, as IK has mentioned, our colleagues in the province, there's their contact details. Please don't hesitate to reach out to them. Anything anyone wants to add, IK? Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think Mpo is actually covered because I can see he just typed thanks. So I think that is covered. Mpo, as I said, we are willing to assist. If you actually watch the videos and you find out that you need a one-on-one, please feel free to contact our help desk through email and phone numbers, and someone will definitely be able to call you and assist you, set up something with you and assist you. And that is what we are actually here to do, to support and make sure that your data or the data that is captured at the school level makes meaning to the school. So the school don't just submit this data, they actually use this data to actually turn around the learner and subject performance in their respective schools. Thank you.
Very well answered. Thank you, IK. Final words from me. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Before I pass over the ropes to IK, I do want to read this word of thanks from Dorel Isaacs. She says, these webinars are crucial for us as curriculum officials. Please continue even post-COVID. And it's wonderful to hear that. I do also want to add that for the duration of lockdown, the dashboard is still 0 rated, ladies and gentlemen. That means by accessing it and downloading the reports that IK has taken us through, won't incur any charges for you if you're on Telkom, Vodacom, or MTN. Thank you very much, IK. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, colleagues, I want to say thank you so much. I know every one of you are actually busy officials. I'm really honored to have you take out your time to join in this 1 hour. I'm just trying to check the time to say, okay, I can see that we have passed the hour mark by 3 minutes. I just want to say thank you so much. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is insightful. And we are going to be having the same session tomorrow. So if you have your colleagues that were not able to join today, please invite them, but make sure they register to attend. And also I want to thank my colleague from Musa to Jerry to Yankee for also being here to support this session. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And from me, I want to say thank you so much and have yourself a blessed day ahead. Colleagues? All right, Musa, then Yankee, then Jerry.
But thanks for joining our esteemed colleagues. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for making time to be with us today. Do enjoy the rest of your week and the rest of your day and weekend ahead. Thank you.
From Jerry, thank you.